Good evening and welcome to tonight's Fort Wayne Community Schools Board of School Trustees meeting. We begin this meeting as we do each meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now we have roll call of members.
Good evening, Steve Corona from the 5th District.
Julie Hollingsworth, District 1.
Jennifer Mathias, District 2.
Ann Duff, member at large.
Raleigh Booker, 4th District.
Noah Smith, District 3.
And to my left, we have Dr. Mark Daniel, Superintendent, Fort Wayne Community Schools, and Angie Filler, Clerk of the Board. And I'm Maria Norman, Member at Large. This evening, we start with awards and recognitions. It is recommended that the board recognize Luca McGee for competing in the top 10 state swim finals. Luca, a senior at New Tech Academy at Wayne, swam the freestyle in 51.93 seconds at the IHSAA Girls Swimming State Finals, placing her 8th. Please come forward so that we can congratulate you. Luca McGee, student. Emily Oberlin, the director of New Tech Academy. I'm not sure, is Mr. Hauser here? No, okay. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Next on the agenda is the Indiana School Boards Association Exemplary Governance Award. Fort Wayne Community Schools Board has received the level of Advanced as part of the Exemplary Governance Award, EGA, from the Indiana School Boards Association for demonstrating an outstanding commitment to student success and good governance by engaging in professional learning through active participation in trainings, seminars, and conferences. In order to achieve this impressive accomplishment, all board members must attain Level 1 commendable to attain EGA Level 2. This is the 3rd year in a row that the board has received an EGA award. We would like to take this time to acknowledge all of our outstanding board members for their dedication to the students and staff of Fort Wayne Community Schools. Here's our plaque, you guys. We're going to take a group picture. Come on, guys.
Do it after.
Do it after? Okay. Yeah. All right. We got a plaque. I laugh at all of our outstanding board. You all are outstanding, and the work that we do is outstanding. But I know that we're not here for the accolades, so it kind of takes me aback to be like, you guys are awesome.
And don't forget, so those of us that were at the ISBA dinner this week learned that Steve Corona has been named is it Secretary Treasurer? Or
Yes, that is correct.
National School Board Association.
Congratulations.
So congrats.
Thank you.
He's also the first president. Coming up, next president is what you would be of ISBA
In 2 years, yeah.
in 2 years.
President in training
President in training.
right now.
Yeah.
After over 40 years, you're going to take the training wheels off, huh?
You know, back in the steel mills, they would put red tape on your helmet just to make sure they knew where the new kids were.
And then individually, just to point out, Julie, Jennifer, and myself and Raleigh also got little pins. So I wore mine because I don't know where else I would wear it to. So.
I got one too.
Oh, you did.
I
Sorry.
did.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Dang, did all of us? Oh, good job, guys. Okay. All the fun stuff is done now. All the business stuff. Okay, and now that brings us to the consent agenda, which is approval of minutes from our regular meeting on March 25th, vouchers and payroll, the personnel report, and required disclosures. Is there a motion on the floor to?
Move we approve.
Second.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks, Ann. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Dr. Daniel, was there anything that you wanted to highlight? Okay. All right, we have no old business, so that takes us to new business. First up is the Snyder High School out-of-country trips for the spring of 2025. Steve, can you take that?
Sure.
Thank
It
you.
is recommended the board approve 2 out-of-country trips in the spring of 2025 for Snyder High School students. The first trips to Europe will be with stops in Paris and London during the spring break, which is March 29th to April 5th of that year. And then the second trip is going to be to Toronto, Canada, in April to perform at the World Strides Music Festival. A little background information on the recommendation. The goal of the European trip is to have fun, isn't it? Is to immerse students in the rich cultures of London and Paris, enhancing their perspectives on language, history, geography, art, and culture. Students will have the opportunity to visit famous landmarks such as Buckingham Palace, Big Ben, House of Parliament, Westminster Abbey, the Tower Bridge, Hyde Park, and St. Paul's Cathedral. It sounds like a wonderful trip. I've never been to either city. And then in addition to performing in Toronto, the Performing Arts Department will have several learning opportunities planned so that students will be able to experience other cultures. They'll be visiting Toronto Harbor, Niagara Falls, Chelsea Hotel, York University, excuse me, and the Ontario Royal History Museum. In addition to Principal Chad Hissong, Jamie Maxwell, the Snyder instructional coach, will be able to answer any of our questions about the trip, and there are other representatives here as well.
Thanks, Steve. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move approved.
Second.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks, everyone else. Any questions for any of the individuals in the room?
What is the cost of each trip?
Hi, so the cost of the London and Paris trip would be $3,662 per student, and they can pay for that monthly. They just have to put a $50 deposit down.
And who are you traveling with?
So I'm Jamie Maxwell, by the way. I'm the instructional coach at Snyder. So it would be me, whichever students sign up, and then for every 6 kids, there's an adult chaperone. So probably the first adult chaperone would be the leader of the Snyder Travels Club, Sylvia Pereira, who's here as well.
What? Really, I meant like the company, like EF?
Oh, yes, Explorica is the company.
I'm sorry?
Explorica?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know that one.
How many students do you expect to take with you?
Probably expect about 12 students, but it remains to be seen.
Is there a maximum?
Not at this time. I mean, we probably don't want to go over 30 students.
And did you say this trip is part of a travel club?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Any more trips planned with the travel club, or is this?
Yes. So
Oh,
they're going to Costa Rica this June. They are signing kids up for a Colombia trip. I believe somebody is interested in sponsoring a trip to Korea and Japan. And so we're just trying to give our students more enrichment opportunities and real world experiences.
Will you
so it-
fundraise for this?
Yes, we do host fundraisers through the
How
travel
are you
fund.
doing for Costa Rica and fundraising? Since you're going this year?
So my students signed up for the Costa Rica trip a year and a half ago, and I have ran fundraisers every month since then. The students that have worked the most have raised about $1,000 a year in these fundraisers.
Towards their travel
Yes.
each?
Yes.
So the $3,662 roughly gets knocked down by $1,000 roughly based on their,
And the trip to Ontario, it looks like we have a choral and orchestra and band person here. How many students are you taking to Canada? That could be a lot.
Yeah, so it is a combined performing arts trip. Brandon Crable, director of bands at Snyder High School, Alex Moss, director of orchestras. I'm Corin Daniels, director of choirs. We're looking hopefully to get 158. We're taking 3 full buses and we're trying to fill every single seat because the more students we take, the cheaper it gets.
Yeah.
As a fundraiser activity, will Principal Hissong sit in a dunk tank?
Yeah, Stills on it. Yeah.
Nice. And how much is that trip to?
So right now, we're currently sitting at $860 per student, which again, we have an incredible performing arts boosters, Laura Olsch, president, sitting over there. They usually do over $100,000 in fundraising for us every single year, and we have an awesome fundraising liaison who's just really on top of it. So we'll, again, kind of like still have something planned every single month.
Nice. That's awesome. And was this a performance that you all had to qualify for, or how did
So,
you learn
yeah.
about this?
World Strides has kind of 2 categories. They have gold festivals and then they have heritage festivals. Heritage festivals are done with the intention to just kind of enrich the students. They're an educational opportunity. We're going to be spending 4 days in Toronto. One of those days is just solely spent observing groups, performing, hearing feedback from world-renowned judges. So this one was through invitation, but if we experience a lot of success with this one, there are also merit-based trips as well.
Oh, nice. And is this open to freshmen through?
So
Senior.
we will not be including incoming freshmen for the 2025 school year.
Okay.
Yep.
That's awesome. That sounds like fun. I've never been to Niagara Falls, so I'm very jealous.
We'll take pictures for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, if you get enough kids, she could be a chaperone.
Well, there you go. I'm not very flexible, so I wouldn't fit in anyone's suitcase, so. All right, any other questions? Thank you all for being here to answer questions. Is there a motion on the floor?
We did.
Did we did motion already? Thank you. We have to vote now. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, next up on the list is numeracy curriculum adoption. Julie? No? You don't have
If
to.
I can use Steve's.
Oh,
Ann?
okay.
Ann it is.
It is recommended that the board approve the purchase of iReady from Curriculum Associates of North Billerica, Massachusetts for $2,624,239.71, and Indiana Reveal from McGraw-Hill of Columbus, Ohio for $911,965.97. iReady will be used for grades K through 5 numeracy instruction. iReady by Curriculum Associates is Indiana standards aligned and provides resources for core, small group, and individualized instruction. Reveal will be used for grades 6 through 8 numeracy instruction. Reveal by McGraw-Hill provides core, small group, and individualized instructional resources aligned to Indiana standards. Both purchases are contingent upon the approved STEM list the Indiana Department of Education is expected to release in May. Courtney Lumbley, Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, and David Meyer, Coordinator of Secondary Numeracy, will be available to answer any questions.
Thanks, Ann. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Jennifer. Any questions for Courtney or David?
I have a few for Courtney and David as well. It's my understanding that this is kind of like been a couple-year process instead of just adopting something that we actually took a step forward and did a pilot. Can you tell us about that pilot and about how many teachers, students that involved, both at the elementary and at the secondary?
Sure. We started the process in the fall of 2022. And we were hoping to adopt that year, but we listened to the elementary and the middle school teachers, asked after that year of review and vetting materials if they could go on to pilot. So high school opted to, as you know, adopt last year. Elementary and middle school piloted this year. We had 19 schools at the elementary level pilot, go on to pilot 5 schools at the middle school level. That's roughly, we had 67 teachers, elementary school teachers volunteered to pilot. We had 12 teachers at the middle school pilot. So roughly 1,500 elementary students were involved with that process of the piloting the materials, about 1,200 of middle school students.
And from that outcome, like, so there was multiple different resources at one point, and everybody piloted something different? Is that?
We did. So we started off the process with the research and vetting. We looked through and reviewed about 20 different publishers between the two levels. We narrowed that down through a rubric review, aligning to Indiana State standards, ed reports. We narrowed that down to 3 pilots at the elementary school and 4 at the middle school for this year. And then in February, we hosted a community family night and then came to consensus at the end of that in February.
How many options do you have to choose from when you're looking at vetting it down to a smaller scale? How
So
many-
we started with a whole smorgasbord, but based on...
Hundreds? 20?
Yeah, you probably say 100 combined that we could choose from, just from what you would see at vendor fairs that are available to different states. So we narrowed that down based on a rubric we used through NCTM. We defined first what Fort Wayne teachers felt was important for Fort Wayne Community School numeracy vision, and then chose different vendors based on that work we did in year 1.
What kind of impact did you see from the pilot teachers using this curriculum versus the prior curriculum?
So we looked at the impact data to see if we could tell, and there wasn't one that really stood out as far as the BOY to MOY data. Dave did a lot of work with our committee groups, which represented every grade level, our special populations. We had administrators and coaches on those committees. We had feedback meetings where they were able to share the positives and the deltas with each vendor. So based on that feedback, we were able to have a clear consensus by the time we got to February. As far as impact data, it was pretty level.
So, did I hear you correctly that it was there wasn't a huge difference between, did we compare what we're using now versus what we're looking to use? Was there any outstanding differences
Any
between those?
takeaways from that? Yeah, we looked at that, and we had from BOY to MOY data to really look at any type of growth difference, and it was fairly level. So we also looked at different districts who use these publishers, curriculum resources throughout the state to see if there was anything that was a standout as far as impact. And that data varied, but for the most part, there wasn't one that really was head and shoulders above the others as far as the data and growth in districts similar to our size and makeup.
So then, is it a requirement that we change every 6 years, adopt a different, is that a requirement?
So no, throughout the adoption cycle, we could choose to keep the same materials and resources. That would be an option. Strong teacher desires to have a different direction and also different resources.
But we didn't see much difference is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, and we just had from BOY to MOY. So we looked at that thinking that might be a data point, and we did see some variances, but there wasn't a strong correlation as far as like the data impact within those amount of weeks.
So you're saying teachers want to make this change?
Well, we have had, when we started the process in the numeracy committee, and these were individuals very strongly passionate about numeracy and math. So with their voice shared that we felt like it was a piecemeal. They didn't feel like they had resources from core down to tiered instruction. So that was a priority that we looked at when we reviewed the different publishers. They wanted something that had a high level of rigor. In our vision, we talk about conceptualization, real world connections. So both of the publishers that we're recommending surfaced in that regard. And then they wanted something that would scaffold instruction and also have a tiered option for students.
This curriculum delivered those things.
They do, they both do.
The results may not be much different, but at this point at least, but the content appears to, or sounds to be more what the teachers are looking for.
Definitely in line with what, aligned with our vision that we created, but also when we think of like an implementation dip with a brand new curriculum, we're confident that when we have more time with that curriculum and roll out that we'll see that difference.
So you said we started this real quick in 22, but we've only been piloting this year? Is that
Right, the first year was developing the vision. We worked on reviewing the large number of resources that we had to choose from, going through and doing a rubric for those pieces, and then narrowing it down for the pilot this year.
David, I know that you are just recently joining the team and recently out of the classroom. I just wanted to know if you had anything that you wanted to add to what Courtney shared with us.
Yeah, I am, after this process, I'm very excited with where we're at and in the direction that we're heading. From stepping out of the classroom and seeing just all of the different schools and what opportunities that kids have and students have in learning, I see that a new textbook can benefit the classroom in terms of teachers. I am really excited for the level of rigor that these textbooks offer, as well as the support that the textbooks offer. One thing when we were looking at the vision that we were going for, we really wanted our classrooms to be focused on collaborative learning and very student-centered. We believe that these textbooks offer that environment and offer the resources that teachers need to help support that environment.
To be clear, are these physical books or are these software programs?
So it's both. So there are consumables that students will have, and then there is also a digital piece to it for both iReady and Reveal.
Where do you envision the kids spending more time on?
The goal is in the consumable. So within the resource, not inside on the computer.
And then I notice this is subject to the IDOE's approval of this next month, is that right? Mm-hmm. Is there an estimated timeline on that?
They said May.
May 1st, May 31st? If they don't approve these, what's the next steps then?
So, Courtney, do you want to answer that?
So when we see the list, if we're not for some reason on that list, then we would look at what was vetted and approved to move from there. Both vendors have assured us that they've been communicated with by the state, that they're on the list. Legally, they could not share with us that documentation. So
if they're not on the list, are we back to square one?
unless one of our strong contenders, because there were some that really rose to the top, that would at the end have the conversation choosing between a couple different ones. If one of those is on the list, then we would have a meeting with our committee and most likely move forward with that.
Would we have piloted that?
We would have, yes.
So we've piloted multiple programs this last year?
Correct. Elementary school piloted 3 different programs, and the middle school piloted 4.
Okay, so they looked at 3 and 4 different offerings, and these 2 are the ones that rose to the top.
Correct.
Had we done piloting before, like this, in this vein for curriculum?
As far, yes.
I know, Courtney, you're not.
When we went through this process too, just hearing the feedback from teachers that asked to pilot and going through that we're committed as a department to go through. We have an upcoming science adoption that we found so much value for the 2-year process for teachers to really understand in depth what those publishers have to offer, that we're committed to do that, a 2-year process for each new adoption coming up.
Sandra, while you're here, can I pick on you? And what did the teachers say about that process of the piloting idea versus, I'm sure Crystal
The
wanted
teachers did want the high school was happy, they wanted to go ahead and adopt, and the middle school and the elementary wanted that extra year. So this is what they wanted to really look and see what was available and try the different things. So that was really appreciated.
I guess the only concern or big concern, real quick, I'm sorry, that I have about this is what I think Jennifer was alluding to, is that we didn't see much difference in outcomes, which is what we're all striving for, right? And so I guess I just want to throw that concern or caveat out there that I feel like you were expressing.
Well, yes, because with everything that we change, obviously, it's in our best interest to make things better. And we're always looking for better outcomes. And I'm excited to hear that we had that many students and teachers involved in the adoption process and trying it first to see whether or not those who are in the trenches every day using it, whether they think that's going to work, because our goal here is better outcomes. And that's the vision of the numeracy, literacy and numeracy. So that's my main question is, changing and doing something new? Is it for the better, or are we going to be stuck in the same, are we back in the same position? So I'm thankful that you piloted and got the feedback from that group, the group that we did. Oh, did you have a question, Julie?
Am I correct, because I don't have the rec in front of me, but so this is two different publishers?
That's correct.
Is that unusual, or?
When we had the conversations with the different levels, that high school had chosen Envision, and we were looking at two different for elementary and middle, we had committed, and that was one of the first questions that the committee asked up front. Do we have to adopt something because a different grade level or a different strand does?
Mm-hmm.
And so we made the commitment to the elementary, to the middle, and to the high school that when you went through and piloted and researched these, that is your input, and we wanted to value what they thought was the best fit for their level.
Is the K-5, was that uniformly supported by the K and through 5? I mean, that's one of the things we heard with the reading, that the 4 and 5 level maybe wasn't quite up to the standards that the K through 3 level or K through 2 level was. So
Right.
is this, what was the feedback from that perspective?
As far as moving forward a different publisher, different resources for the adoption?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, from the beginning, the committee expressed that they were looking for something new, something different from the get-go. So when we brought it up to the committee, did we want to go through and actually pilot or research and have that, what they were currently using is put that on the table for adoption for the next year. We didn't have interest in continuing with that program.
But I guess the other part of the question is, are the 4th and 5th grade, how many 4th and 5th grade piloters were there roughly?
To look, we had roughly, I think, 12 to 15 that piloted in those two grade levels.
And so they felt this curriculum is as strong as it is at K, as it is at 4th or 5th?
We did. So when we had the feedback meetings based on the pilot, so we met monthly to get their concerns, to get their strengths, every grade level met. And then as a committee, we had every grade level represented, and they agreed on, came to consensus on iReady for elementary.
Thank you. That's all I have.
And I assume the secondary curriculum adoption, that's going to be separate night, separate rec?
Well,
That's it.
this is that one. Well, this is 6 through 8. It's K through 5 and 6 through 8.
Right.
And then high school did it last year.
9-12 happened last year, right?
Gotcha.
They went ahead. That's what
Gotcha.
Sandra just,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
They
Gotcha.
weren't concerned.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next up, we have roofing project R4 at Price Elementary. Raleigh, can you read that one?
Sure. It is recommended that the board approve the following construction contract for the roofing at Price Elementary. We have Fort Wayne Roofing, a Tecta America Co. Base bid for roof area 9A is $154,400. Alternate 1 for roof area 9B, $234,400 for a total contract of $388,800. All replacements have been identified in our roof replacement plan, which provides for the replacement of all roof segments over a 25-year period. Martin Riley Architects and Engineers designed the projects. This recommendation is within the project budget and is funded from a combination of the 2016 School Basic Renewal Restoration and Safety Project Funds bond and 2020 School Basic Renewal Restoration and Safety Project Funds bond. There were 2 companies that did not win the bid, and Darren Hess, Director of Facilities, is available to answer questions.
Thanks, Raleigh. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann and Jennifer. Thanks, Raleigh. Any questions for Darren?
I do have one there. What does an architect and engineer do to design a roof replacement?
They look at all the slopes. There's certain details of all the coping, especially when you have a first to second floor, you have to have counter flashings. There's quite a bit of detailing involved in architect of a roofing project.
I know you said anything over 100,000 requires.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yeah, anything.
Have a great lobbying group.
I mean, the architects that deal with roofing and the building envelope, though, they're worth their money.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'll trust you on that.
Is there, I know we normally do like multiple schools when we do a roofing rec. Is there a specific reason that price was pulled out sort of individually?
We actually pulled this one ahead.
Okay.
In the schedule, we had some leaks, and we've been battling it and chasing our tail for like 3 years, so we finally just did it.
Got it. Thank you.
So I do have another one. This is going way back. This is maybe a rosy question to 2016 and 20. So we still have funding from those bonds?
This ends the 2016 funding, and then we're also supplementing it in 2020 because it was also listed in 2020. So this exhausts 2016.
So this is the final one for 2016.
That's correct.
How much left do we have in 2020 then?
We have quite a bit, but we also still have Miami Middle School to bring to you and some other smaller projects. So we're sitting okay at this point.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Darren.
Thanks, Darren. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Noah, can you do the masonry?
Sure, it's recommended the board approve the following construction contract for masonry restoration work of various buildings. Atlas Building Services, Inc. There's 4 locations here at Grile, Abbott Elementary, Forest Park Elementary, and North Transportation. The total contract is $279,212. Project includes masonry restoration and repairs at various locations. Martin Riley, again, architects and engineers, designed the projects. The projects are funded from the operations fund, which is identified in the capital projects plan and is within the program budget. Project specifications require the work to be completed at school buildings by August 1st and at Grile by September 27th. We had the opportunity to see the various bidders, and there were 7 total bidders. And Atlas Building Services was the top bidder. Darren is again here to answer any questions.
Thanks, Noah. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Noah. Any questions for Darren on this project?
Is Atlas out of Wabash? Any,
I have to get back to you. For some reason, I was thinking out of South Bend.
No big deal.
Any other questions? Nice. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thanks, Darren. All right, next up we have a report of gifts, grants, and donations from 2023. It is recommended that the list of gifts, grants, and donations be officially accepted by the board. Throughout the school year, various schools receive gifts and donations from individuals, organizations, and businesses. Authorization to receive gifts is a board function. The State Board of Accounts has agreed that a listing of all gifts received during any 1 year and ratified by the board would meet audit requirements. Attached is a listing of gifts, grants, and donations as submitted by various FWCS unit heads for 2023. A detailed report is on file in the business office. Unit heads are encouraged to express appropriate appreciation for any and all gifts received, and Rosie Shipman, Chief Financial Officer, is here to answer any questions. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Ann and Jennifer. Any questions for Rosie? It was a nice list of donations. Yeah.
Lots of coats and hats and school supplies on it this year.
Yeah.
And the donors were lots of PTAs and lots of churches, so it's nice to see those partnerships and hope they continue.
Yeah. Any question? No? Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And thank you to the Fort Wayne community who love on our school buildings. We appreciate it. Next up is extracurricular account equipment purchases report for 2023. It is recommended that the board the report of equipment purchases be officially accepted by the board. Equipment purchases, including equipment reconditioning over $500 from extracurricular funds, are subject to approval by the Board of School Trustees. The State Board of Accounts has agreed that these purchases and reconditioning may be accepted annually. The report as submitted by FWCS unit heads for 2023 is below. Rosie's still here to answer any questions, and board members received a list of those extracurricular purchases. It looks like most of that was high school stuff. Any questions for Rosie on any of these purchases?
I'm just looking at the marching band flyover flag at Northside High School. What is that?
Kim's here. She's going to talk to you about some of the stuff.
Oh,
I'm actually not sure what that is. It's probably like a tarp type thing. I'm not sure.
I'm curious what flies it.
The drone that the other.
That's what I was thinking, a drone?
Doubt it's a drone because.
We'll have Dave West take a picture of this and he can send it to Angie and Angie
Yeah.
can send it to us. I'm curious.
Let me text him.
nice.
We can get a picture and send it to you.
No. Okay. Any other questions?
24.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that leads us to our presentations. Oh, wait, did I miss one? Yes, I did, sorry. I was like, okay. So extracurricular account reports first semester 2023-24. It is recommended that the board accept the extracurricular account reports for this first semester of the 23-24 school year. Indiana Code 20-41-1-8 requires an accurate account of all money received and expended by extracurricular accounts. A report of the sources of all receipts, the purposes for which the money was expended, and the balance on hand is required to be filed with the School Board of Trustees. All extracurricular semester reports are audited by the business office and are available for inspection for 10 years. Rosie is still here to answer any questions. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Jennifer. Any questions for Rosie?
Rosie, what's the date of the exact dates for that are considered first semester to second semester? Is it school year's first semester or is it August early or?
July 1st through December 31st.
Okay, and then
And
second.
then January 1st through June 30th.
That's the only question I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and now that brings us to presentation. Ramona Coleman, Assistant Superintendent of Human Capital Management, Amanda Ladig, Talent Management Coordinator, and Mary Margaret Jenkins, Human Capital Management Coordinator for Classified Staff, will provide an overview of the Human Capital Management Department. A video will be shared to demonstrate the supporting structure of human capital management for certified and classified staff at the district and school level. And I know we have Dr. Surface as well as here, so, yeah, no problem.
All right, again, I want to say good evening, President Norman, Vice President Booker, Secretary Smith, and to other board members, and just thank you for the opportunity that you're giving the Human Capital Management Department tonight to give you an overview. Cannot thank Dr. Daniel enough for the support that he provides to us, and so this afternoon we'd like to share an overview of the department and with Human Capital Management University. So again, President Norman already shared with you Ramona Coleman, Assistant Superintendent of Human Capital Management, Amanda Laddick, Mary Margaret Jenkins, and Dr. Deanna Surface will be sharing information with you tonight about the Human Capital Management Department. First, really want to focus on who are we. And so we just had a wonderful opportunity to share a lot of this information with board members at a work session. So we really want to focus on those three words there: development, optimization, and retention. because we really do see it that for our department, we have the responsibility of really developing the knowledge and skills that's necessary for stakeholders throughout this district to have an impact on adult learners as well as positive outcomes for students. We really want to make sure as a department that we focus on the optimization of all adult learners, making sure that we're making learning personalized and precise for the learners that we have the opportunity to work with each and every day. Some of the examples that we shared with the board a few minutes ago was, again, making sure, since literacy endorsement and that licensure component is really at the forefront of everyone's mind right now, we really discussed how we as a department, in collaboration with curriculum and other departments, really want to make sure that we're supporting our teachers with the professional learning, with the information that they need in order to renew those licenses when it comes time for the literacy endorsement. We also talked about specifics when it comes to waiver day and how do we decide in the specific learning experiences that we have for our teachers at the building level, certified staff, classified staff. And then we do know that the ultimate outcome is that if we truly engage our staff in impactful professional learning, we'll have a higher retention rate for everyone. So here in front of you, you have all the different learning communities that we support on a continuous basis. In orange, you will see the highlights because those are learning communities that represent our certified staff. In green, you see the learning communities that we support as classified, and then our Trailblazers community that we have for parents. Again, with each and every one of these communities, you can see the number at the bottom, 1,506. We meet on an ongoing basis with each one of these communities on a regular basis, monthly, either face-to-face or via Zoom, with very intentional professional learning. We shared with board members earlier that each one of these sessions start with the superintendent giving a key message so we can make sure that we have consistency throughout the district based upon initiatives and outcomes that we address. So this is a new slide for us. So we wanted to make sure coming up with new teacher orientation data. We know the power or the focus of one. We had 10 new teacher orientation days last year. We had 159 teachers to attend at least one day. Again, we gave the one-day focus. However, board, we can go back and give you the additional data for how many teachers attended altogether. So do know that that data is available, and we can share that data with you. We just, for this presentation, we went to look to find exactly how many teachers out of those that had attended was there for at least one day. 159 teachers attended. 13 more teachers actually joined after the new teacher orientation day started. Again, questions that we started pushing back on ourselves is what additional data do we need to pull? How many additional days do we need to look at? And also having that collaborative conversation with human resources that if we did have teachers to leave, do we have any qualitative data, exit data to show why those teachers left before the end of the school year? The percentages that you have there, out of the 159 teachers that attended at least one day, 94% of those teachers finished this school year as of right now. Basically speaking of 149 teachers. Of the 94% that finished this school year, 99% of those teachers have signed an intent to return form with FWCS for the 24-25 school year. And again, we celebrate that we're having our teachers and that retention rate to go up, and we do believe it's because of the support that we give our teachers on a continuous basis. And with that, I do want to share with you one of the questions that the board asked previously at our board work session where we're sharing with them this afternoon. Jennifer, thank you for that question. She says, Ramona, how many people do you have in this department? And I think it was right after the slide team that we share with all the different learning communities. So I do want to share with you. I don't think it's difficult to pick them out because they do have on shirts that we have on the screen. But I do want staff from HCM department, if you would please stand up And so I want them to see that we do have all of our team members here with us tonight, except for our 2 supporting staff. And then we have 2 of our coordinators that's not here with us. So again, I just want to thank this awesome team because none of this work could be done without each and every last one of them. With that, we also have in our audience tonight, we have a video that we want to share. And with that video, we want you not to just hear from us, but we want you to hear from stakeholders classified and certified throughout the district, speaking to the professional learning that takes place. And after the video, we do have members here that sit in the audience that you'll recognize them on the video. Thank you.
Success of the entire building, an entire school, the success of the students, because we're only as strong as our weakest link. Instead of anyone lagging behind or feeling insufficient or ineffective, now we have the ability to provide them the opportunities that they need to be successful by providing them that professional learning.
I think professional learning matters a lot to everyone in the district, but for my team, it's really important for us to have consistent practices across the district.
I learned through conscious discipline that kids are always learning by what we model our own relationships, not necessarily just by what we tell them. There's more of a feeling of family in our building now, and I think the kids can definitely sense that.
The HCMU has just given me a place where I can organize everything that a media clerk needs to know when doing their job. In the past, we've used a media center guidebook, with a lot of different emails. HCMU gives us one place where we can put everything together, and the media clerk has kind of a one-stop shop of how do I do my job, what was covered in that last PL. Everything is in HCMU, and it's just been really beneficial. The PLs that we've done for the media staff have been incredible. We always try to do some type of feedback session afterwards, a survey, and the feedback overwhelmingly has been that the in-person PLs, especially the conscious discipline and the classroom management PLs, I think have been the most beneficial for our media clerks.
It's important because you get to bounce ideas off of each other. You get to hear the highs, the lows. You get to learn how to retweet some things, and you can also, it's like a fellowship, a sisterhood, but now it's a manhood because we have more men coming in as media clerks. But it just helps to hear different ideas and to collaborate with each other.
Being on that mentality that there's always something to learn, there's always something to improve, and there's always something to look at a different way. And especially in a position of this nature that you're managing a very big team.
It's really impacted the entire culture and the feel of our department. It has given a voice to people and ownership of what we do in this building and how they contribute.
I like our PL days because it gives us a chance to actually get to know each other and learn more about each other. So when we do come to work, it is a team effort and we can get the job done.
PL is incredibly important to help teachers and staff feel supported in their role and continue to grow as professionals and as human beings. When we have the opportunity to reflect on our own learning, it helps us understand the learning of students in a better way. The HCMU has been particularly helpful for our PL waiver days, which we've really enjoyed, and we've really enjoyed the opportunity for teachers within Snyder to lead PL sessions for our own staff. And all of those presentations and all of those deliverables I get to upload in one place on the HCMU, so everything is always accessible.
The largest takeaway from the PL sessions that I've been in as an English teacher, and even more broadly as a teacher, is determining what practices are effective, how to galvanize my teachers in my department as a group to better serve our population.
I feel like it's important because it helps teachers also understand, because as I feel like generations just keep coming in, everybody is kind of like growing up a little more and has more emotions and react different ways. When teachers, or like especially Mr. Dorton, he's very open to like talking and helping, and it just helps make him seem more open to being with the students than seeming so closed off just like a teacher. He's more of like somebody there that's helping us learn, but also helping us as ourselves.
I just want to pause for a few moments, board members, again to acknowledge, I know that Chad had something earlier, but he's here and several others that were included in that video to just see if you have any questions for anyone that was included in the video.
I have a couple questions, and that maybe go to both our Snyder representatives who are in here. What I heard in the video was that the in-person PLs are highly effective and very motivational for, and so that was questioned, and I'm sitting here questioning, okay, what's the whole point of HMCU, until you mentioned that you're now able to upload those modules and people are able to see them if they weren't there, or repeat, or look. How effective, Principal Hissong, do you feel that your staff is using those? We saw your stat a little bit about the usage in your building. And do you feel like once you've had those in person that people are going back and reviewing?
It's not a matter of whether they're reviewing right then. It's a matter of the fact that we present, on those waiver days, we present a lot of information, because usually we do 5 to 6 sessions each waiver day. And so each person that's presenting is presenting about an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of information, and we're doing it in 20 to 30 minutes. So it's an opportunity for our teachers who are in those sessions to go back then and re-access any information that they were not clear about, as well as, because we're there in the building, they can come back and ask us questions face to face. So for us, and the way I explain it is, it's so much, I guess, the new generation, the people much younger than me, they don't work just during the day. Lots of times they're accessing things in the middle of the night. And so it's available to them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And that's what makes a big difference for us, is because sometimes when I'm not sleeping at night because I'm nervous or upset or I'm concerned about what my plans are for the next day, now I know where that information is available and I can get to it.
That's great. So how do you promote that within your own building for your teachers to access that?
That's why I have Jamie.
All right, Jamie, how do you promote that to your teachers to access that?
So we've made the HCMU just a part of our regular routine. So every week the teachers are getting on it to track when they've gone to their PLCs, their professional learning communities. So they do it for department meetings, they do it for collaboration meetings. So then by the time these PL waiver days come around, they're already familiar with the platform and they're already used to getting on there and tracking their own learning.
So Jamie, you're the instructional coach?
Yes.
And how has this helped you personally in your position, and how does that help our other instructional coaches across the district?
Well, I know for a fact that I've gone back onto the HCMU to find presentations that people have done for previous PL waiver days to help new incoming teachers, that we hire mid-year, support with, like, for example, vocabulary strategies to use in the classroom. So it's just really useful to know where things are at and to have it in a very organized way.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do have a question for Rhonda.
No?
Since you came, I'll ask you a question. You mentioned in the video that, well, actually your employee mentioned in the video that it was a good time to stop and sort of meet other people that they work with. Do you find that when you do get to stop and do this sort of PL, is that helping you retain people out of nutrition services?
I don't really know the statistics on retention.
Sure.
What I do know is the feeling that we have with our staff right now. We're very fortunate in that we've had Mary Margaret both working with the administrative staff as well as our production staff. And as Jana spoke to in the meeting there just seems to be a closeness when they're put in a group where they're given the opportunity to speak to one another and build relationships and kind of break down maybe some negative intent that was building up. We've been giving them the words to open conversations to maybe start all over with relationships again, thinking about how they say something in the moment, whether it's with a positive intent or if it's with a different brain state than maybe they need to go for. It's just made them much more calm and more, what do I want to say? They just celebrate with one another. They celebrate birthdays, and it's much more of a family feel.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. New teacher orientation, this will be year 2 for our, first of all, I want to back up and say thank you to each one of you for agreeing to be in the video. And again, thank you for agreeing to be here with us tonight. And I know that we have another person from our video, and just saying thank you to everyone for being here. New teacher orientation, this is year 2 that we have paid new teacher orientation for 10 days, and we saw the data earlier based upon just attending new teacher orientation for 1 day and the retention rate that we have from it. Last year, we had a keynote in regards to conscious discipline for our new teacher orientation. This year, we're having Principal Kafeli to come. He will be here Monday, July 22nd. Mr. Corona, thank you for asking me the question after everyone got ready to leave. Principal Kafeli will be with us all day on Monday, July 22nd. He will be here with new teachers during the day, a session with elementary teachers, a session with secondary teachers, and also a community component that will be actually engaging parents and others throughout the evening with Mr. Kafeli. Our new teacher orientation is July 15th through 19th, the first week, and then the 22nd through 26th, the second week. Again, this is paid, ignited. Our teachers were truly excited that they had the opportunity to have the Ignited Conference part of their new teacher orientation, and we have that again this year. And then based upon the after action review, here are the topics that you can see on the screen again around conscious discipline, well-being, technology, curriculum, and assessments, that we're going to continue that work with our new teachers this coming summer.
How many people do you expect this year?
We always try to go higher than lower just to make sure funding soars and using our Title IIA funding. So we basically budget for around 150 teachers, knowing that we may have a little bit less or a little bit more. So based upon the intent return forms from Human Resources, we work very closely with them. And then there's with Dr. Surface, they share a log, a spreadsheet, that as soon as teachers are hired, that information is shared with us. Yeah. This year, Dr. Surface has created a web page for new teachers, so as soon as HR notifies us, they do not have to wait on FWCS email addresses, that all the information that we share about new teachers, what the expectations are from day one, they can click on the website that she shares with them.
Is this required for brand new teachers?
Yes, for brand new teachers coming into the district, it's required, yes. And we do have teachers based up on family situations or other things that they're not able to make it during the first 10 days. And we do still have our new teacher community that meets at the elementary and secondary level monthly, and then coordinators that supporting those teachers on a daily basis by going out in buildings and meeting with them as needed.
You showed us retention rates of 94 and 99% for last year.
Yes.
What was that statistic in the previous year, 22?
In transparency, we did not pull it for the previous year, but we can get that data and share it with you.
But it's your thought that it was lower?
I do not believe that it's much lower than what we have now, because we kind of have the tendency with teachers that may move from one building to a different based upon opportunities that's there. But for an urban school district, our retention rate is pretty high for FWCS compared to other urban school districts. But we'll get the data and work with Jack and Sam to get the exact data that you just asked about.
And you're going to give us specific times when the principal from New Jersey speaks on the 22nd?
Yes, he's actually speaking on July 22nd, starting at 8 o'clock. But yes, I will follow up and work with Angie. Okay, so we'll work very closely with Angie to have that on your schedule and have his exact agenda for that day.
Great.
This is just new teacher feedback again, just highlighted specific things that's there for you. You can see that the first one, the new teacher that attended really, again, saw how conscious discipline and how she could take the strategies and what she had learned from new teachers back to her classroom. In the middle, our ELL resources and support that they need in supporting our ELL students. You can see again from Isaiah Rivera in the middle, again discussing those resources and being able to access those resources and the impact that it will have with her as a new teacher. And then again, the keynote speaker I shared earlier from this past school year was around conscious discipline, and you can see that Lori Kramer again from Snyder thought that that really inspired her and how she would apply that and encourage and work with the culture within her learning environment at Snyder. Again, we want to make sure this has been another emphasis for us, and so really looking at the work of Stephen Covey coming to our district again on July 9th. Covey and his team will be with us all day, so we will have him as a keynote on July 9th that morning at the Mural Center. Following the keynote, we will have a session that he will facilitate, a very engaging session, not a sit and get session, that he will engage with stakeholders throughout the district and throughout the community. We will break for lunch, and then we'll have a repeat of that session in the afternoon so that we're given opportunity for staff to attend that morning and then have different staff in the afternoon, and the same thing with our community leaders in common with Stephen Covey. Again, I just want to read one quote that I pulled from Simon Sinek, and again, why Stephen Covey and why this work. And so again, we know that with Trust and Inspire, Covey really focuses on how do we grow our people, how do we inspire our people, how do we clarify expectations for all of our stakeholders, and then how do we truly practice accountability. So in Simon Sinek's words, great leaders are able to inspire people to act. Those who are able to inspire give people a sense of purpose or belonging. They're able to create a following of people who will act not because they were swayed to do something, but because they were inspired. And so we know that with that, when you look at the research behind Trust and Inspire, again, when you build a culture of trust, again, you have an impactful rate of retention and employees having a sense of belonging and wanting to stay. To my right, Parent Symposium. We've done this in the past, but this is our first time coming back that we've truly had a Parent Symposium again. That's July 27th at Indiana Tech that we're going to hold our Parent Symposium. We're still looking at the time that we're going to hold that symposium. We want to make sure as we discuss and share information about our schools of success and portrait of a graduate, how can we make sure that we're really sharing that information with our parents? And so we're going to be looking at that, topics around bullying, safety, technology, mental health and community resources. So again, we have Principal Kafali with new teachers. We have Stephen Covey with teachers and community along with Principal Kafali, and then we have a parent symposium that we're going to have on July 27th.
The information about your July 27th event, will that go out before school's over?
Yes, we have another meeting tomorrow that we're making sure that we're connecting with our contract with Indiana Tech, and yes, we will have saved the date and for that for July 27th.
Okay, because I lead a PTA and I'm always putting stuff in my newsletter.
All right.
Good evening. My name is Mary Margaret Jenkins. I work with the classified staff, and I am the coordinator in HCMU that focuses on classified staff in our district and making sure that they have what they need to do their job and do their job well, and that they feel comfortable and confident in doing that. Like Rhonda mentioned, I work with nutrition services a lot. I work a lot with transportation. And then I work with every district office here at Greil as much as possible. So I'm all over the place, but I also serve all 52 buildings. So I'm working with the classified staff there as much as possible also. So we have a couple new things that are coming, and I am super, super, super excited about them. The first one is this onboarding orientation. We have been lacking in the district for the last few years about what orientation really looks like and what that onboarding actually looks like. And so we have completely redone what that will be presented to new employees. So we're calling it NEW, and which will stand for New Employee Welcome. And we are really trying to make sure that we are working with every one of our departments to give a really well-rounded view of what Fort Wayne Community Schools really is. And so we've worked with technology, we've worked with security, we're working with Shanita with Portrait of a Graduate and Schools of Success. And then we have lots of videos that are coming out that we are in the process of making so that people can really see what Fort Wayne Community Schools is made of on their first day. The thing is, this is not just new teachers. This will be every single new employee that is hired for Fort Wayne Community Schools. And so this is from the plumber to the administrator to the teacher. So these are very high-level view things that would apply to every single employee. Once the employee goes through that 1 day of orientation, then there will be separate learning paths that each of those positions would be required to go through so that we were really ensuring that onboarding process. Most onboarding looks like about a couple months. This is going to be a year-long process for us. And so they will go through the in-person orientation. That will start their clock for their year with us. There will be HCME modules that they'll be required to do throughout the year that Amanda and I will put in place. And then there's also going to be 30, 60, 90, and year check-ins that their direct supervisors will be required to do so that we can get some feedback about what are they needing, what is the plan, how do we move forward, what are their goals. And so we really want to make sure that they're quick, they don't have to be super long. We have the questions already written, so it's 5 questions each time that really get to the culture of what it is that we are trying to help them in being the best version of themselves for Fort Wayne Community Schools. Any questions about this? Okay. The next thing that I am super, super excited about is the Substitute Institute that will take place starting July 24th. We have a 4-hour-long launch date, and at that particular session, we will do all of the technology things that we're working through with the Substitute Institute. There are feedback sessions between teachers and the substitute, and then the substitute in how the room was prepared for them walking in to make sure that they are prepared. I have had the opportunity to speak with Cabinet, Coherence, the union. I've met with 9 principals, a few coaches, and I've actually met with some substitutes to actually get their feedback about what this looks like. But it is not just the in-person. There is a whole bunch of things behind the scenes to give substitutes that consistency that they've been missing. That is the overwhelming feedback that I get from principals, especially, is that they have loved the consistency that every time a sub walks in a building, they're going to see the same form. They're going to have the same opportunity to provide feedback. And then the teachers are also going to have opportunity to provide feedback about how that sub did. Throughout that feedback, that will drive my instruction when we do these PL sessions. And then we're also going to find those master substitutes, because we know that they're out there, those master substitutes to help present what they have experienced in these sessions. And so it's from 4 to 5:30 to make sure that they're outside of contract hours, to make sure that we're not pulling subs from a building for PL, because we want them to be working. So I really think that this is going to do a huge service for our substitutes. It's a paid PL. We've never paid substitutes for PL before. And so I'm really, really excited about this.
How many substitutes do we have on a consistent basis? Or what's our substitute pool number? Do you have any sense?
We have over 450.
So we have 450 candidates to attend this?
That are on our list.
We got 2 questions, and wanted to go back to the onboarding process. So this 30, 60, 90-day check-in, are we from day one going to promise new employees that over the next 30 days we're going to give you this and this information? So on that 30-day, are they going to check in and
Yes, so one of the things that we have talked at length about is the lack of shadowing, of job shadowing. And so that would be one of those key components for that first 30 days, that they are actually following someone who is doing the job that they're hired to do.
So there are going to be promises made on day one, and you're
Yes.
going to make sure that that we fulfill
Yes,
those
and we
promises.
have lots of accountability systems set in place to make sure that we are holding up our end of the bargain, but that also the supervisors are holding up their end of the bargain.
And is there some sign off on both sides?
Yes.
Okay. Secondly, they're not our employees, but they're in our buildings, and I'm talking about Renee's Sodexo folks. What are we going to do with them?
That's above my pay grade. I don't have any control over what happens with Sodexo, so that would be her question. I'm going to defer.
Actually, we just started a new onboarding process. It's really good to start this with increased power points. Just we did it, I think it was in my last newsletter, but yeah, it's called Operations Academy.
Anything else? Okay.
Hello, I'm Dr. Deanna Surface. I'm here to talk to you about the Educator Preparation Program. So I am the secondary coordinator in human capital management who works not just with secondary schools, but I also work with any teacher who is renewing a license or is just becoming licensed. So on the one slide that had all the numbers of the different PLCs, the 220, those are my folks that I try to track all year. And one really tricky thing about that is that a lot of our transition to teachers are at different schools on different paths in different places. There's different requirements. If they do a strictly online program like #Teach, then that's different requirements. And I'm tasked with tracking everyone's progress on 90 different pathways. And I need to know where on that individual path they are. And that's just the nature of the way things are with staffing right now. But we discovered, and I do have to give credit to my colleague Kendra Bowser, she's the one who brought this to my attention. So my thanks and my what did you do to me for that. But we realized that we don't necessarily have to outsource all of our teacher training to colleges and universities. We can apply to become an Indiana State recognized educator preparation program, our own transition to teaching program. So on February 1st, I submitted 2 applications to IDOE. The first application is strictly just to be allowed to be an EPP, regardless of any program, just are we going to be allowed to be recognized as Indiana State recognized educator preparation program. The second application that went with that was specifically for our special education transition to teaching program that we submitted. You can see on the slide here, these were some numbers that I had going back. August 2022, we had 128 teachers on an emergency permit or a transition to teaching permit. That number does not include special ed because the first year I was in this position, I actually was not given the special ed to be in charge of, so they were managed elsewhere. Once I brought them into my group, now you can see this past fall we had 150 people in our classrooms that were not yet licensed teachers who were teaching, plus 40 who are on what is the special education version of a transition to teaching permit, which they call the alternate special education license. From November of this past November, we still had 48 just unfilled positions in the district, 14 of which were in special education. And then I did the math. If you took just the people who were not yet licensed or open positions, 12.5% of our staff were either not there or not yet licensed teachers. And that's a big deal because, again, we have to track their progress and make sure they're moving towards licensure every year. There's barriers. There's a cost they have to pay. If they're going to go to PFW, to Trine, to WGU, to #Teach, they're going to have to take student loans or pay out of pocket to receive that certification. There's always the time, and especially if you're a working adult, especially if you're working in education, we know you don't leave the classroom and then your night's free. That's not the way it works in our field. So we know that there's also that issue of time getting their homework done for these programs. And for them, as well as for me, just so many options. The number one email I get is, hi, I was just hired in. I need to get a license. Where should I go? And I'm not ethically in a position where I feel comfortable recommending a program. That's not my decision. It's their money. That's not my place. But I get that question. So this is the rationale of why we felt that we needed to try for our own program here in the district. To flip that around, why candidates need us? So even if we offer a transition to teaching program, how do we know people are actually going to come here? Well, for one thing, we will have no tuition cost. The average cost, well, I can tell you this, in the state of Indiana last year, transition to teacher programs ranged from just under $4,000 to $13,000 for that program. So we're saving them all of that money in student loans, because we would offer that to them for free. They would also be full-time teachers getting paid, and receiving benefits while they're in this program. That's kind of what a lot of them are doing anyway. They're here, they're in the classrooms, they're teaching full-time, but they're working through some other institution to get their license done. They will only have to cover their textbook costs. That will be their only out-of-pocket initial cost, would just be their textbooks, because they keep those. That'll be their property. Another addition, a bonus to this, is having our own in-house program means that when you're a student teacher and you're in another teacher's classroom for a little bit of the year, you're stepping into their culture, into a room they've already established the management. Yes, you're going to have to struggle as a student teacher, but you're really stepping into someone else's place. And you would literally be stepping into your own classroom, establishing your own classroom. They'll get to participate in district initiatives, strategic plans, all the professional learning that student teachers often don't get to engage in as part of that role. They'll be in a cohort. It will be a group that will come together. The program would be 18 months, and they will go through that whole program together. The program will work with their job. We would have job embedded PL, but then we will also have support program embedded PL, and everything works with what are they doing right now in their job. So thinking of our special ed program, when they start coming up on, they really need to know everything about case conferences, we can make sure that they've had all that material and that they're ready to go for those. So we can really tailor it to exactly what they need, that just in time. And we, as just a district, we have so many amazing multiple supports. Of course, my department, I'll brag, but we also have amazing technology coordinators and curriculum coordinators and folks in assessment and in special ed, and I could go on and on. But we have so many wonderful supports. So these are all the reasons that we feel that they need us. We're really hoping that this will help bring down some of our staff turnover. And the very last line of our t-shirts is retain. We really want to not just bring them in and develop these teachers, but retain them and keep them in our district. An update on the timeline. We did submit the application February 1st. We were then to receive feedback from a committee, and that was supposed to happen the Friday before spring break. I received an email that day from the two contacts at the state telling me that I would not be getting the feedback until Tuesday of spring break. So then pushed back the date that I had to respond and give my revisions and my response to the committee's questions. And that was due last week on Wednesday. That was the original date they were going to give us a yay or nay, and so obviously that's been pushed back. So as of right now, the earliest we could find out if we're approved will be this coming Wednesday in 2 days. If not Wednesday, I'm guessing it'll be about a week or so after that. Should we not get approval this time, because I'm not going to lie to you, it was a lot of work to write an entire college program. It was a lot of work, and there were a lot of little tweaks that needed done. We did turn in all the tweaks and revisions that were required of us, but ultimately it's in the hands of IDOE and their committee, which is made up of higher education representatives from all across the state. Should we not get in this time, our next chance to apply with further edits and revisions would be August 1st, and we fully intend, if we don't get in this time, to meet that deadline as well. So are there any questions?
If it's approved, I'm sorry, if it's approved, what's our capacity? How many people could we bring into this program?
So for specifically special education, we were thinking the cap would be somewhere around 30, but it ultimately comes down to how many openings. So I think we have 13 or so special education openings just as of this morning. So right now, if it were approved, we'd be looking at a potential pool of 13 candidates for this fall.
And this is only for special ed at this time?
This first one is. We do intend to submit elementary and secondary programs as well, but we wanted to do the special education one first for a couple different reasons, but we wanted to focus on that one first. It is one of our highest areas of need to fill. So we did that one first, and then if we get approval just to be a provider and then also get approval on the special ed, then I will do the 2 applications for elementary and secondary. And I will get those done as soon as I can. They're very large, but I work late nights, so. Was there another question?
Yeah, are there any other districts in Indiana that have their own?
There is one charter school near Indianapolis that sort of does something similar, but I will just disclose to everyone that when Ramona and I got on a Zoom to meet with Scott Bogan and Renee Beretta down at the state, and they were blown away by the idea. They'd never heard of such a thing, and they were excited. So we do know that they were excited about it, but we also know that doesn't mean they're not just going to give us a rubber stamp if the program's not where they want it to be. So, but no, we would be the first.
Does this program come with a commitment that these teachers stay with Fort Wayne Community Schools for a certain
Yes.
period after the 18 months?
Yes, we wrote a contract. David Amon and I wrote a contract, and because they are getting education for free, we're
Right.
saving them $14,000 to $13,000, and they're going to leave with a teaching license that they can use anywhere in Indiana or any reciprocal states. Because of that, if they, upon receiving their license, if they do not stay with us for 3 years post that, then they have to pay us back. And we came, because of the range of prices, we decided that $5,000 wasn't too much. It was on the very low end of what they would have paid. So should they leave before that time? Now, if we ask them to leave, or if they leave during the program and don't get their license, there's nothing to return. But we do have a fiscal responsibility to be responsible with how we're spending our money, and it just simply wouldn't be wise or fiscally responsible for us to start training a bunch of teachers but then let them go to every other district. So no, they have to stay with us.
And are they paid as beginning teachers?
Yes, they're paid just like any other beginning teacher.
So you're waiting for a green light.
Yes.
Have people heard about what we plan to do?
Do you mean is it out?
Are you getting bites?
Yes.
I mean, this sounds too good to be true. Are you also selling Bitcoin? Understand this here.
So I've had a lot of people asking about it. I've tried not to put too much information out just yet because, again, if we get a no this time, I don't want to have to say, sorry, you got to wait till next year.
You've got to feel some level of confidence in the work you and the others standing next to you have done so far.
I do, and I feel we've put together a good program. The practicum is a 3-course sequence that starts with the course all in the 10 in-task standards. It goes on to an observation semester, where we will have 4 days when they will have a substitute in their classroom, so they can go to not just other special ed classrooms in their building, but other special ed teachers in the district who are rated effective or highly effective to observe. And then their 3rd semester will be their student teaching, which they've been teaching all along, but that will be their actual evaluated.
So I'm not thinking of transitioning to teaching, but I'm sure that there are people out there thinking about that, and they're sooner or later going to hear about you and compare you to universities that are going to be they're in the business now,
Yes.
and you're going to be joining them, and they're trying to figure out, are you going to be as good as?
To ensure that, we will be applying, we have to wait for the official yes from IDOE.
Right.
But I can show you, I've got all the materials ready. We will be applying for accreditation with AAQEP. And I should remember the acronym. It's something Association for the Advancement and Quality of Educator Preparation. It's something very similar to that, if that's not correct. But AAQEP is one of 2 accreditation providers that we could go through. The other one is CAEP. But AAQEP specifically in their materials discuss supporting non-traditional, non-college university accreditation. So that's why we chose to go that route, because they seem to understand where we were coming from. So we will be going through an accreditation process that will make us accredited. And so therefore we can say, yes, we are on par with PFW, with Tryon, with WGU, with all of them.
Well, this is very exciting.
It is. Are the candidates in this program, are they paired with like a mentor teacher in their building?
Yes, and so specifically with the special ed program, their supervising teacher, the term for that will, in most cases, be the lead sped teacher in their building. We do have a couple contingencies for, say someone is out for surgery or whatever happens, they're going to be out for a little bit of time. We have some contingencies for others who can step up in that role.
Does the state of Indiana still have some kind of a stipend for a mentor teacher, or will we do that, or?
I believe we would do the stipend as sort of like an adjunct instructor amongst our own staff. So currently, we have some of our special education administrators who are actually teaching at Trine. And so they would teach kind of the same thing, but instead of teaching it for Trine, they would just teach it here. And so because that would be outside of their normal work and their normal contract, we would like to offer them a stipend to take on that additional role. Same with the lead teachers. We would expect them, because they're going to be doing evaluation and meetings and checking in, so we would have a small stipend for them as well.
And is that going to be one of the advantages that we're going to pitch to people thinking about a teaching profession, is that, I'm thinking about people who are entering the healthcare profession and trying to figure out where that clinical experience is going to be. And what we have is a classroom already set aside for you in our district.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they will.
Well, I agree with Steve. I think it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. So
this is only special ed to start with, right?
The first one, yes.
And
that's
if
the
it
only.
all goes great, you'll just find and hunt special ed and then insert elementary, then insert
Doing
secondary.
for elementary and secondary, yes.
And then if you go back to the couple slides with the number of positions opening, I saw there's 13, 14 sped, but how many sped teachers do we have on transition to teaching piece right now?
I have that data, just not handy, but I
Okay.
can get that for you. I have it on my computer, I just have to count.
So it'd probably be those folks would be the target market, and possibly the other 14 openings, we got to fill that, right?
Mhm.
But if we already somebody committed, excuse me, to doing sped but don't have a teaching license, those would be the folks
Mhm.
that you would focus in on?
And just to clarify as well, it would not be a requirement that if you want to come teach and be a transition to teaching and get into that mode, we would not require them to be in our program. They can absolutely choose to pay PFW, or if they want to go there as well, absolutely. They don't have to join this, but it's an option.
What has to be done from a staffing level
As far as to cover?
to create the environment to be able to and qualify? Is that just under your
I
credentialing
would be
and
given a
stewardship, or-
title, something like head administrator. I forget what they called me down there, but they were, a head administrator would be my role in sort of supervising that. Our typical college like program chairs, in this case for special education, it would actually be Nikki Sprunger would be our program chair for special education. We would then have to seek out program chair for secondary and elementary that may be able to coordinate with HCM coordinators, may not. It just depends on how quickly the program grows.
What kind of educational difference do you see or feel to be able to get this type of degree versus what we currently offer in HCMU? I mean, HCMU to me was badging, certificates you talked about, that kind of stuff. Now we're talking about a degree.
Well, it wouldn't be a degree, it would specifically be a certificate in itself, because we wouldn't be a degree granting institution. We would solely be an educator preparation program provider. So the only
certificate.
it would be, yeah, we wouldn't be able to offer an associate's or a bachelor's or anything.
They come with it.
Yes. Well, and to enter into a transition to teaching program, I know our hiring requirements are set at a certain level, but to enter into a T2T program in Indiana, you also have to have a GPA from your bachelor's. There's a couple combinations of that, either this GPA or a little bit lower, but with this experience, there's a couple caveats there. So, but that is a state requirement. We can't override that.
So will we be, let's just say we start with the SPED. Do we need more staff to be able to support this?
I don't think in the first year, but I have no idea how popular it could be. I have no idea.
At what number of participants would you need to add staff? 20, 50?
50 definitely, 20 I don't think so. I wouldn't think.
And then what do you think the demand would be between SPED versus elementary and secondary?
The demand's going to be much higher. in elementary and secondary. And I think, too, one thing to keep in mind with secondary is that with Schools of Success and Portrait of a Graduate, we're looking for professionals in their field who maybe have never thought about teaching, but you know what? I have expertise in construction or in, being an eye doctor or whatever it is. So that's another pool of people that we can advertise to.
Again, we know there's a teacher shortage.
Absolutely.
And we have to find ways to fill classrooms. And ideally, you've heard, I think what you've heard this evening, we have experts within our own district. And what we're doing, we're relying on our own expertise, be it teachers in classrooms, be it administrators. To be an adjunct professor, though, you have to have a master's, correct?
Depending on what you're teaching, in most cases, yes. Unless you're teaching
in most cases you
developmental,
do.
yes.
So, again, we're relying on our internal expertise and how we bring in new teachers into a profession that is having shortages across the country. So I think this is a very innovative way, and again, Dr. Service bringing this to our attention and her being given a green light, absolutely pursue this. We also, if you remember, the legislators increased the amount of funding for transition teachers, so there is more funding available. Last year, they increased it last year. We were able to work with that a bit. I think we're seeing districts successful with transition to teachers. But again, it's because it's like an apprenticeship. And these are people that are very passionate. They're wanting to teach. And it's a career change. And hopefully it's a wonderful fit, and it'll be interesting because we are seeing, you can see the emergency permits that we have. These are all indicators that we have to do something. And again, I just appreciate the tremendous amount of effort that this has taken. And are we competing with other institutions? Well, I don't want to say we're competing. We're all trying to solve the same problem.
And again, even if they think of us as competition for a transition to teaching, we're not going to be offering degrees.
Correct.
So, and a lot of people who will do a T to T want to follow it up with a master's. Those people won't choose to come through us for that, but they may still come teach for us. But we just wanted to do what we could to remove some barriers and see how it works. Any other questions I can address?
Great work.
Yeah, please let us know what you hear.
Yeah.
Tell Angela, tell us Wednesday.
Put that on your
I'm just a little bit nervous, but it's okay.
I bet you are.
All right.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Will we find out Wednesday whether?
Wednesday or
Wednesday or next week, and then who's this one?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening. I'm Amanda Laddick. I am Talent Management Coordinator in the HCM department. And to wrap up tonight, just want to provide some updates on the professional learning for freshman Schools of Success. And if you do have any specific questions about those PLs, my colleague Kendra Bowser is here to answer questions. She has been leading a lot of the professional learning work around Schools of Success along with Shanita Bolton. And she has just been doing amazing work, so I just want to give her a shout out because she is really rocking it with Schools of Success.
I'll ask then, since you offered, what are we doing then with PL, with Schools of Success and the staff and the teachers now? This is such a dynamic shift, supposedly, from what's been. I think they're going to yell at you to get the mic if you could.
The really cool thing is...
They'd like you to get the mic, sorry.
She's not going to be able to reach it. The really cool thing is that every high school is really personalizing what they're doing. Might have to recruit you up here, Jamie. But right now, teams are truly working together, getting to know what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, how they will truly serve and wrap their arms around each group of those kids as they come in to that freshman community. But we have a trainer from every school that has come with us. They are really leading that, as well as the assistant principal, which is really cool to see because typically you see that principal in front of the community. But here, your assistant principals are up there, they're excited, they're leading the charge, and it is just energetic. Jamie, what can you add to it?
Well, it's been a great bonding experience. I can only speak to what's happening at Snyder, but at Snyder, it's just breathing life into this idea and making everybody really excited for next year and making everybody feel a lot more confident about it. Meeting once a week sounds like it would be exhausting, but it's actually a little bit energizing. It's like hanging out with I told Kendra, it's like hanging out with your friends for 2 hours. So everybody really feels like we're in this together and we're here for the students, and they're feeling a lot more confident about next year than we were 2 months ago.
A result of that too is I don't remember how many years the gentleman has taught for, but he was really thinking about retiring. And after our March waiver day, he was just so pumped up, and he's like, I'm not leaving. I'm staying. So that just tells you that there is a result, that energy is empowering people. I probably get notifications daily. I feel so great. This could be parents, this could be students. I feel great. I want to be here. So I am truly excited and hopeful for what this will do for our district.
Thank you.
So as we go through the rest of this school year, staff, like you heard, in their buildings are engaging in PLs so that they're ready and prepared for next year. That way, when we roll out Schools of Success, hit the ground running, take off. We even have a little counter on HCMU with the number of days before Schools of Success launches, so that it's at the forefront of everybody's mind all the time, because this is something that is going to affect everybody in the district. And so we want to make sure that we know building staff are engaging in these PLs, and so we can ensure that through data. We have qualitative data and then also quantitative data. So you can see here, this is the course access data on HCMU platform for the Schools of Success Portrait of a Graduate course. And you'll see that there's a very high spike there on March 18th. That was our last waiver day of the year. And that particular day, the freshman Schools of Success teams worked together, and they were accessing that page to get content, to read announcements that may have been posted on that page, and to then just also see how much content have they actually interacted or engaged with all of that content in the course as well. And again, the other spikes that you see on that particular graph are also waiver days, but there are staff engaging with that content throughout the day, whether they have questions or engaging in other PLs, they're accessing that page. This page is available to all staff members in the district as well, and all staff members are enrolled in this course, in this page on the HCMU platform. And then we have our qualitative data, the feedback that we get. And so we know that staff are engaging through that data on the platform, but the feedback that they have shared from those particular days really speaks volumes. And if you look at some of those words, you know, powerful, engaging, confident, and excited, it really shows that these staff members who are engaging in this PL for Schools of Success are excited about it. They are wanting this. They desire this in their classrooms. And so all of the PLs that they're doing are preparing them, are getting them ready for that first day of school, so that when students come, when the freshmen are there, they can take off. It feels like it should, and it gives them the best learning experience that they can have, and also provides staff with the best experience that they can have as well. And then, like Kendra shared, you know, this work and what he has learned and experienced through the professional learning sessions has been so powerful that he has opted not to retire from education, which is great, because we know that there are a large group of folks who will be retiring from education soon, and the fact that through this work he wants to stay is incredible. And are there any questions or comments?
Well, that was lovely. Thank you. I do have one question. You mentioned the substitution institution. So So if we get a new substitute in, will they have the ability to do this?
Yeah, so this is for any current substitute or anyone hired. So through that onboarding piece, part of the path for that new substitute, once they're hired through Fort Wayne, would be to attend those sessions with the Substitute Institute.
Okay.
Are we going to advertise that?
Oh, yeah.
I think it would be.
Yeah. I have a couple more principals to meet with, and then I need to make some revisions on feedback that I've gotten so that I can make it completely cohesive, and then we're going to start rolling it out.
Nice.
And I got a question, Ramona, in your role. How do you feel like the waiver days went, and what do you think we accomplished with those?
I think based upon the feedback, again, that Amanda just shared and that I shared earlier, that we start out our waiver days from really a district facilitated lens and having our district coordinators and district support. Buildings really pushed back and wanted that learning to truly occur at the building level. And I think listening to the voice of administrators and teachers and certified and classified staff, I think our waiver days has really helped listening to Jamie, even from Snyder, build that collaborative community at the building level. And it's also given central office the lens to be able to even go out and be more intentional about the support that's needed at the building. So we have not heard back from the IDOE yet about our waiver day application for the 24-25 school year, but I definitely believe that our principals, I know from the elementary level, I get questions probably at least weekly, like, do we know if the waiver days have been approved? So I definitely know that the staff has greatly appreciated having the waiver days.
Well, I'll echo that or give you some anecdotal evidence. And number one, I want to appreciate and thank you and Dr. Robbins and Dr. Daniels for listening to the staff and taking back to the class or school, so to speak. But my wife had shared that she was like, oh my gosh. But when I asked her about it, because I was very anxious to hear, she said, oh, it was way better than I thought. And that happened 4 times, so each of the 4 days. So I applaud you guys and thank you for listening and the efforts made. But it sounds like it's been a great success.
Thank you.
And I just want to say thank you for all of the work you've done. Like Dr. Daniel said, just the innovative ideas and the ways that you come up to support our staff, our teachers, and as they, come through the years. I'm super excited about this transition to teaching program. I think that Fort Wayne Community Schools PL department is really, it's going to be the gold standard, in the state as far as PL. So I'm excited about what you have coming down the pipeline.
We are too. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, team.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. That leads us to board member comments.
Thank you. 2 comments. First of all, I wanted to thank Sandra Vos. Is it Vos or Voss? Voss. Thank you.
Boss is in boss. Did you catch that?
I wanted to thank Sandra from the Fort Wayne Education Association for passing along her concerns about the state requirement that teachers take on 80 hours of in-service to become certified in reading. And I know that in talking to her and others that it seems overbearing. I know the district is trying to offset some of that as well as to just bring light on this issue. I think 80 hours might be great if you're a brand new teacher, but for somebody who's been in the classroom seems a bit much. So thank you for that letter and concern. Secondly, really excited about something that Ramona shared with respect to Stephen M. Covey speaking here in Fort Wayne. I know Dr. Daniel heard him a couple of years ago at a national conference, and then I heard him last August and was just blown away because to me it seemed consistent with where Dr. Daniel was taking the district and making sure that we let go of the old command and control leadership structure and embrace the more democratic approach of how we manage public education. And We do that by trusting and inspiring our building leaders. And I've heard him twice. He has a powerful message, and so I would urge all of you to set aside that time to hear him, because it's the way we're going to survive. Along with what we're doing to encourage people to become involved in public education, to become involved as a teacher. It's a difficult profession. And so it all comes together with how we manage the district and how we inspire those that teach. So July 9th, wow. Please plan to be there, because I will. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation tonight. I really like, you know, the programs that you're putting together. Number one, you know, we're utilizing our own staff in professional learning in a great many ways. And I think that's, you know, that it's not only appreciates them for the expertise that they do have, but I think that just helps build camaraderie and teamwork and you know, within your staff. And a lot of what we heard tonight was about that, was collaboration among staff, building a team, learning more about each other. And that's in every department of the district. And I think that is, you know, having your staff and your department be a community is very powerful. That's it.
Well, Steve added to my little list. I had a little list this evening. First of all, I want to start with congratulations out to the Snyder Robotics team. They went on, this was their first year, I believe, and they were recognized and are in Houston, Mr. Schiebel, yes, for the national competition, which is really exciting. You know, we had our robotics, some robotics information here a few weeks ago, and I hope we will all continue to support students who are looking at robotics and all the different things that we have, but what a wonderful opportunity, so congratulations to them. Secondly, the sad passing of Mayor Henry. Even before his passing, one of our students, Sammy Vance, who we all know from her buddy benches, but she knew that Mayor Henry was a friend to all, and I thought this week she installed one of her buddy benches at Citizen Square, and she collected 1,000 milk jugs out on the north side of town at the Bigby, and that installation was this week, so that was exciting. So thank you to Sammy and the efforts that she made to display to our city our past mayor, who was a friend to all. And with that, I'm going to lead into congratulations to our new mayor, Sharon Tucker, who is a friend of public education, as Mayor Henry was. But we talked about this a few weeks ago, that Sharon was working with us in our school district, and we hope that she'll continue to do that. And we just want to congratulate her and the efforts that were made. That's an exciting time for Fort Wayne. A couple other things real quick. Our rock stars is our communications team this past, and I want to say that I work in communications and marketing, and I think that we've really stepped up our game in the last year or so. We've added to that staff. We see a lot of these things that I've mentioned today are out there in social media, on posts and other things, and I know that that's our communications teams doing that. So all these wonderful things that are happening in our district, I want to say thank you to Krista and her team for putting that out there and showing the wonderful things that are happening in our district. And although I wanted to end on a happy note, I am going to go on, echo a little bit of Steve's 80 hours. This, to me, is a hypocritical standard for our teachers, honestly. If we look at everything that's happening down at the State House and the money and the vouchers and the possible ESAs that are going to money following the children, those are oftentimes that money is going to places that we don't know, that aren't held accountable for the students' education. We're asking our teachers to further their education every day in something new and another standard, and yet we're allowing dollars to be free-flowing to whomever. So I'm very disappointed and not to say I don't want us to continue our teachers to have growth and opportunities and be educated, but I also feel like there needs to be accountability for the other dollars that are flowing out of our taxpayers' hands into what we don't know.
Black hole.
Good point.
Yeah, that's it.
Good point.
I just want to thank Tammy Mullins for asking me to be part of their re-accreditation committee at Bunch. Every 7 years, they need to apply again to be accredited for their Montessori education. And so we had our first meeting last week, and I toured the building and just kind of got an update. That's where my kids went, and that's why I was asked, because I'm a former parent. So it was just fun seeing Bunch again. It's a great school, and I'm sure they will have no problem being reaccredited. And I also wanted to congratulate Sharon Tucker for being our new mayor.
I want to congratulate a couple of students who are in the culinary program at Anthony's Career Academy. The Career Academy Culinary Department took a group of students to Skills USA in Indiana. And Adriana B. won gold, and Sora S. won a bronze in baking and pastry arts. On the 11th, I was actually able to tour Anthus, and I got to be a taste tester for a really cool project that they did. The students were given 2 different countries, and they had to come up with a fusion dish based on 2 countries. So I had some really interesting dishes. Some I really enjoyed. Some were, they were great. The kids were great. It was really good to see the renovated space. I was able to talk to the staff there, and they talked about how much more they were able to focus on skills now that they have more space there. They're able to increase capacity. I spoke to some of the students there, some of them who got into the program and have decided they want to go to the Ivy League of culinary schools, and others who are like, this is just something that I like to do. It was a great experience, but I know that I want to do something else, and I think that those experiences are just as important as the others where the kids go in and they're like, oh, this is what I want to do. So shout out to everyone there at that culinary program. I also learned that they're also earning dual credits in that program. So, the program is excellent. Look into it. If you haven't had a chance to visit, absolutely visit. They do catering for a lot of our schools. We've enjoyed some of their catering. So if you haven't tried anything from those students there, I would recommend that you do. The food is really pretty good. What else did I have? Oh, I wanted to also share and congratulate Southside's esports Overwatch team, which made it into the state finals. Coming up this Saturday at Ball State. I got the information from Nick Adams at Southside High School. And I also wanted to share that they are doing a middle school one-on-one Super Smash tournament on, this is on May 8th, which was really cool. I took my oldest son to that. I think the first time that they did it maybe was last year, and he had a really great time. But it's just one of those programs that's really cool to expose middle schoolers to the possibility of esports and give them a chance to kind of experience that. We talk about creating those pipelines and those experiences for students. So that is coming up. And of course, I have to say congratulations to Mayor Sharon Tucker, my sorority sister, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And I'm sure, Jen mentioned that she is a advocate and a supporter of public schools, and I am sure that under the Tucker administration we'll continue that strong relationship with that administration in the city. And that's all I have to say about that.
If I could ask you, is her sister a superintendent in the Indianapolis area?
Her sister.
Sharon's.
She was.
She was in Hamilton Southeastern?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, before stuff happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'll just say that I had the privilege of joining Maria in Julie at the dinner for the Indiana State School Board Association last week, where we were presenting our Lovely Award, and just so the teachers don't feel like they're the only ones with continuing ed challenges, we receive that for our continuing education and doing so many hours. They do have points, right? It's not PPP joints, but points, but at some points. However, I am aligned with Jennifer, and I think that Jennifer spoke for all of us on this board, that we're not happy with the challenges that the state has presented to further challenge our teachers in the profession as well. I'd also like to congratulate Mayor Tucker, and I'd also like to thank Raleigh. Our friend Raleigh was a delegate, and I won't get into all the details of Raleigh's week because I don't know them all, but I do know it involved a late night return Friday night home from traveling away, and then getting up early and going to be a delegate. So thank you for representing the city and representing us, and doing a wonderful civic duty. So thank you, Raleigh. That's it.
So, again, congratulations to our new mayor, and Mayor Tucker has already been part of our CEO champions, so she's been on that team, and now she'll move into the role as mayor. So we'll have to fill her spot. But again, as we look at Schools of Success powered by 3D, what you're hearing tonight, I think, is accumulation of many different facets of a public school coming together to involve community, to involve its staff, teachers, to involve its leaders, and truly transforming what we're doing for kids in Fort Wayne. So I look back to the March 18th day where we had our waiver day, and we had all the freshman teachers at Northside, and they're going through this process. But we had of training, but we had students talking to them that were part of the JA3DE program. And I think part of that part of the enthusiasm that we're experiencing is coming not just from our training, but it's also coming from our students inspiring us. And so this is very different. But I also see us in this particular, on May 15th, we have a day, it's called Inspired to Hired. It is JA's having a breakfast at the Miro Center. If you are interested, if anyone's on the Facebook right now or listening to us on YouTube or whatever it's transferred over, please either call the superintendent's office or call Junior Achievement. It is free, and we're going to celebrate some of the corporations that had a leap of faith and are willing to participate on a daily basis with our kids. And it's moving to a junior-senior year, which we just now have had some more information, more details brought forward what that's really going to look like. And I can tell you that Fort Wayne Community Schools, as we've partnered with JA, with Ford NGL, and truly the level of professional learning and buy-in that's happening, we are now being recognized as one of the leaders in the entire country. That is humbling, but it's also very gratifying because it tells us our work is truly making a difference. And again, it's not what we weren't doing, it's just building upon what we were doing and making it better and better and better. So I really truly appreciate, again, all the various happenings that are happening within this district. But to say that we are going to see a different student in 2028, I can almost guarantee that now. And I probably couldn't have said that 3 months ago. But I've heard what teachers are saying, I'm hearing what our trainers are saying. It is going to be a different place. So there are 3 things we want to make sure that you're listening as you're out and about. Do our schools sound different? Do they look different? And do they feel different? And I think you're going to find that happening across the district the next several years. Give us a couple of years, but it will be very different. And that's, again, the enthusiasm, the excitedness, the buy-in. It's powerful. You're feeling it. So thank you for your trust as a board, and congratulate you for what you've been doing as a board. in your leadership.
Thanks. I just want to say thank you to Ramona and her team. All of the things that you presented were so exciting. It's a complete 180 from the presentation that we had last year. So congratulations, and thank you for all the hard work that you are doing. And I'm really excited about that transition to teaching. So, yeah, if that happens Wednesday.
You tempted, Maria?
Huh? Oh.
I'm hearing
Are you going to sign up?
Maybe. I have said that if the only reason that I would not be on the board is because I took a position at the district. So, so I don't know. Maybe. I just am very excited about all of the end of year stuff. I know next week we have the retirement dinner, and that's always both sad, but really just, it's so great to see people at the end of their career and how much of themselves that they invested into the district and into their students. I know Krista puts out a release that says the number of years or hours that we have in total people retiring. So people are just really committed to this district, and it's really a good night to celebrate with everyone. There was something else. I forget, and due to lack of time, I'm going to say that I'm done with my comments. Just thank you to everybody. Oh, I was going to say, Staff Appreciation Week is in buildings, May 6th through the 10th. It's also Bike to School Week that week, and on May 8th, Bike to School Day. So I know that I saw a press release about that. Oh, I remember, Skills USA. So if any of you follow Anthos Career Center's Facebook page, they had so many winners this past weekend. So thank you to those students and the staff members. So I know that that takes a lot to take students off campus, if you will. But it looked like they were having a great time and such good experiences for our students. So thank you to them, and congratulations. Our next board meeting is Monday, May 13th at 6 p.m. Do we have a...
Move adjourned, Madam President.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Yeah, for real.